Yesterday, we finished the day up with a covert or conversational version of the 60-second hypnotist. Did we not? Yeah. That is what we really call, or what I like to call, the hypnotic blitz. The hypnotic blitz is basically a way of overloading the mind with positive suggestions in a conversational setting so that the critical factor hasn't got a chance to keep up. Have you ever had someone come into your room or wherever you were at and kind of railroad you into something? You kind of went along with it without even realizing what happened. It's like, hey, let's go swimming. It's like, what? It's like a beautiful day, we're going to do this, and hey, I'm packing your bag for you, take the bag, let's go outside. And you're following like a zombie going, what's going on here? Before you know it, you're actually in the car halfway to Disneyland or wherever you're going, and you have no idea how you got there. Anything like that sort of happened to you before? Or someone gets really enthused about a party or about some work, or they just hand it over to you, and then you're in the middle of doing it, and you go, how did I say yes to this? I swear I would have thought I didn't want to do this, right? Well, it happens to us naturally all the time. So we're going to create a context where that can happen in normal everyday life. Now, this is particularly useful for any people in this room who has to interact with other human beings at some point in their life. I know that's not a lot of you, but it's useful because think about what happens. This is the basic hypnotic formula, ABS. You absorb attention, you bypass the critical factor, and somehow you stimulate the unconscious mind. You have hypnosis, right? The force of suggestion. Now think about what happens throughout our daily life, from growing up onwards. You know, you do something maybe a little bit silly, and someone comes in and say, I'll look away from you guys, you bloody idiot. And then they have a real go at you. Now, has anyone ever had that sense of like, they're in kind of shock because they can't believe they just did something? Now someone comes in, your attention is absorbed, your critical factor has been bypassed by the massive emotion, usually something like guilt or shock. And then someone does you the favor of stimulating your unconscious mind with all those positive suggestions of failure in life and worthlessness and, you know, incompetence. That's exactly what you need to be hearing when your mind is in a vulnerable state, is it not? So that's what I call a hypnotic curse. It happens all the time. Unfortunately, you see it with parents who are a little frustrated with their kids. They just snap, and of course, they create that. It happens in schools, it happens in the workplace, it even happens between friends. Now, the world's going to keep turning, and it's going to keep happening to some extent. But if, as hypnotists, we know the process of a hypnotic curse, and we know that it exists, why not give benedictions, like a hypnotic blessing? Do the opposite. Take the same structure, change the message, change the content of the S, so good things happen instead, right? Now, we do it in a small amount when we compliment people. But if you just compliment people without these two things, then they can just go, oh, it's nothing, I don't know, right? It doesn't really sink in. But if you have a genuine compliment with these two things in place, then it has a force of suggestion and actually can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, I love the way you treat people so well. Really? Okay. I might do more of it. That's a force for good, is it not? So I want to spend a little time this morning on seeing if we can refine the idea of what we did yesterday in a more, so to say, coaching or covert therapy sort of setting, and turn it into more everyday conversational sort of thing. How to create genuine benedictions as part of your everyday life. Would that be something of interest to you guys? Yeah. So, this is how you do it. Get their attention, bypass the critical factor, stimulate their unconscious. This bit here is straightforward, it's easy, right? You've got your words of power, your power words. You have the idea of hypnotic themes, and you can change those themes based upon what you want to do. You just give a compliment and you riff on that, right? So we're going to focus a little bit on how we can get these two bits done properly in a conversational setting.